Well, good evening and welcome live with Dr. Boise Kimber. I'm delighted that you are tuning in with us tonight. We got a very good hot subject tonight right here in New Haven, Connecticut. There have been many discussions in reference to when are the kids and the young people are going to school in New Haven, Connecticut. And so we're delighted today to have our board member, Darnell Goldson. Grateful to have Tamiko Jackson, who is a board member. Then the Reverend Stephen Cousin, pastor of the Bethel AME Church, as our guest tonight to talk about what kind of progress we're making in opening schools here in New Haven and what is happening with the superintendent, board members, and the whole gamut. All right, here we go. Tell a friend to tune us in and really find out what is going on in New Haven Public School. Darnell Goldson, how are you tonight?
Hello, Reverend. I
It's
just
good
got
to
power back
have you.
yesterday. I just got power back yesterday, so I'm still trying to get the house together.
Yeah, that's a good thing. The storm. What's that name of the storm we just had?
Isis, Isaiah,
No, ain't none of that. What's the
I
name of
don't
it,
know.
Steve?
Tasha, I don't know.
I want to say
Don't let
Isacius, something like that.
Yeah. Reverend Cousin, how are you doing tonight?
Always welcome, be expected. Thank God that I got power and internet, so I'm good now.
That's great, Dan. All of us got power, and I spoke to the governor to tell him that EverSource, United, Illuminating, they could not charge us and should not charge us while our lights are off here in the city. Governor agreed to that. I want to thank Senator Richard Blumenthal for certainly calling EverSource to task and United Illuminated. And so we're grateful. Darnell, tell us about what is happening with the New Haven Public School system and its leadership and what is going on there.
Well, as you know, there's 7 members on the board, 2 student members. The board voted a week ago at a special meeting to delay in-class instruction when the school opens September 3rd. Just let's be clear, schools are going to open on September 3rd. The only question is, will the school be remote? Will it be at their computers at home? Or will it be hybrid? Will there be both at their computers at home a couple of days and in class? We voted for totally remote for 10 weeks. Apparently, we didn't make the politicians in Hartford very happy with that. So they've asked to have us address them and give them the reasons why we're doing this. And that's where we are at this point.
Yeah, but Darnell, the governor has put a lot of things in place, put a whole lot of money back out there for protection. But what is this district plan? Why is it taking this district so long to put an operational plan together?
Reverend, I don't know. I wish they had used the last 4 months a little more aggressively to plan for this. We've been saying several of us board members, a majority of the board members have been saying all along that we would not support in class unless there were safety protocols in place. We complained over the summer about the lack of safety protocols for the folks that were distributing food and the security guards and custodians who were in the schools, and we were ignored. As a matter of fact, the security guards didn't even get masks until probably a month ago. So they went for like 3 months without PPE, and I don't know why our administration doesn't focus on that. They're first responders. They were holding down holding schools and providing money. but they didn't prepare adequately for remote school.
Who didn't prepare?
Who did or did not?
Who did not prepare? You have the mayor, who is the leader. You have the superintendent. Who did not prepare? Because every time I
Well,
watch,
listen. The fingers when things go well, the fingers get pointed at the people who are in the lead, right? The superintendent, the board president, the mayor. When things go bad, they need to take responsibility for that because they are the leaders. So, the short answer to you is um, um, our mayor, Justin Elliger, our new superintendent, Dr. Tracy, and Dr. Eileen Tracy, and our new board president, um, Yesenia Rivera, did not step up to the plate on this issue.
why? It's a
I
very
think
crucial issue.
I believe it is because they got a directive from Hartford that schools had to open. And it wasn't about, and for me, it wasn't so much about education. It was more about economics. They wanted to see people back in schools, so they could get their care money from the federal government, and they could get whatever other grants
Well,
they were getting.
New Haven Board of Ed got $8 million in CARE Act money. The second thing is that they kept screaming, "We don't have PPE stuff. We're not going to take temperatures. We're not going to give people masks because we don't have the money." I am totally sick and tired of this educational system here saying that you don't have money to educate our kids and to make sure that our kids are safe in the environment. I think that this mayor and this superintendent has failed teachers and students in not having a plan of operation. And so this is one reason why we're not going back, because the fact of the matter is they've not put a plan together. And to right now, we don't have.
Reverend, they put a plan together, but it's not a plan for with safety first. And the majority of board members said that the overriding factor for us in returning people to schools is safety first. And they don't have a plan that protects our students, our families, and our teachers. So yeah, they have a plan, but their plan wasn't what we wanted.
Well, so when are we going? When are we going? When are our kids going back to school? That's number one. That's the first question. When are they going back to school?
Well, let's talk about facts, right? We know that the last great pandemic in modern times was in 1919 when the Spanish flu hit us, right? And as you so aptly pointed out in your op-ed piece a couple of weeks ago, the Spanish flu, we had more people in the United States die in the first 6 months of COVID-19 that died in the first 6 months of the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu lasted 2 years. It came in 4 waves and lasted 2 years. We're in the first 7 months of this COVID. And so for people to feel comfortable because our rates are so low in New Haven, it's a false comfort because we know soon enough another wave will be coming through. And if we loosen the mitigation that we put in place, the safety mitigations, the masks, the crowds, we are going to see a larger. All the experts are saying a second wave is coming. It's going to be bigger than the first, and there's going to be more people who are sick, and there's going to be more people to die. So why would we put ourselves in a situation? Why would we go backwards? It doesn't make sense for us to start crowding kids in the schools and crowding teachers in the schools. And in Georgia, they tried to do that in Georgia last month. They said
we saw what happened there. I was very encouraged on last evening when teachers were speaking with public comments, and I did not hear but one teacher out of maybe 10 who said, "I support going back to school."
Well, the press said there were 17 speakers, 17 teachers, and 14 spoke against opening.
Yes, and there was those from Hooker who spoke up last night. I would have thought that, they'd be ready to go back to school. It's almost like a private school over there. My daughter went over there. I didn't know it was a private school when she went over there, but she did go over there.
Oh, so
So,
you one of those people. You one of those connected people. Okay.
No. So I'm glad to have Dr. Jackson with us, who is another school board member, and I want to hear from a real MD, real doctor perspective, why we should not go back to school, send our kids back to school.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Pastor Cousins, my colleague Darnell, Pastor Kimber, Dr. Kimber. I think it doesn't take a doctor to know that we should not be sending our people back to the schools in New Haven because we're simply not ready. We have a beautiful plan, a 90-page PowerPoint that was given out to the public, but we have no evidence of implementation that gives confidence to many. And that's why the majority of the board voted to slow this thing down and to return to the buildings after the first semester, and during that time working out what we need to make the educational experience safe, not just for our students but also for the teachers and staff. There's a real concern for everyone at this point. And like I said, it's to me it's writing on the wall, and I kind of was I get offended at the fact that we've had since we came out of school in March. I'll give you March, but we had since April to prepare. We knew we were going to go back in some way, shape, in some way, and I feel like that the ball's been dropped. That's how I feel.
So what are we going? What are we going to do? Which way are we going back to school? Remote, virtual, or what?
Oh, we're going back remote and virtual. I'm saying that the time may be, and my colleague may agree with me. The time is what we're talking about at this point. But I'm thinking that
this is a mess, y'all.
I'm thinking that we need this. We need the semester. I agree with Larry Conaway, who was an educator for like 3 decades. He was a leader. He didn't manage. He led. And he led us with that resolution.
Yes, he did. I'm very proud.
That resolution was
Larry.
very courageous. And
yeah,
he took like they say, he took it to the head. He said, "Look,
yeah.
we're not going to be doing this right
Larry
now."
act more like the board president now than president, since Darnell has left from being president. Larry acted like a real president and leading.
Yes.
And we're very proud. We're very proud of him. Let me say this. I want to say this on the air. Ed Joyner voted for it, and I think that was the right thing for Ed to do. I wish Ed and I could just get along. I like Ed. I just wish we could just get along and come together as children of the Most High. Would you say so, cousin?
Hey, you know what? We all say love thy neighbor as yourself, right? So that's the whole what the Bible's about. So I really believe that maybe one day, we can put differences aside because we have much larger issues than we have at this time, and we need to really come together. To really
I think that's
do what's best for
important,
our kids.
and I think that
And
the 4 Black board members voted the right way, and the 3 white members voted opposite of where we were trying to get to.
Well, do you mind if I jump in for one quick second? I did attend the seminar tonight about how remote learning was going to work.
I did too.
And there's a lot of questions that still remain to be answered, where there still are kids to be at least near the computers between the hours of 9 a.m. through 3 p.m. to really make sure that they may be available for when learning does occur. So it's going to be very difficult, for parents who have work schedules. How do you work around that? And on top of that, you also have a situation where the teacher, it may take 3 weeks when it actually gets off the ground, and making sure everybody understands Google Classroom and actually understand what the assignments are. And my third concern is they're going to begin the grading prospect. on day one. So everything now is going back to letter grade, depending on what grade you're at. And it's going to be a big jump where here we are, we're learning a new system, learning a new pathway for education, but we're still going to be relegated to like the old grading system, where I believe there's going to be a lot of pushback from that as we go on into the school year.
So let me ask you this, Reverend Cousin. The Greater New Haven Clergy Association had a press conference several weeks ago, and we said that we were not ready for school system to reopen, and we got national press on that. Magazines and newspaper calls to someone called me today in reference to it. And so what we said that we would make our churches available with Wi-Fi, the distancing, that we would feed them, and that we've been in conversation with Dave Ciccarelli in reference to teachers coming to our sites, paraprofessionals coming to our sites to help our kids with the right curriculum. Can you bring us up to date? You've been charged with putting this together, and I think that you've done a good job along with John Lewis. Can you talk to us about that? And I want to get a feel from what our two board members think about it.
Well, it was really simple, where we saw back in the springtime where several thousand students who were disengaged from the learning process, whether it be, the home life or access to computers or technology. And so knowing that we're going to have to do remote learning, whether it be full remote at the start of the year or even a hybrid system, you're still going to run into those same problems that we ran into in the spring. So the concept was to allow these community spaces, churches, libraries, what have you, to allow kids to come in and be able to do their education, do their assignments, and also have a person who's able to help facilitate the learning. One of the biggest issues that we had with parents was parents didn't want to be the educators, where a lot of parents, felt disenchanted that now they have to educate their children during the spring. And so we really want to try to give that option for parents to send their kids to churches where they're able to socially distance themselves. Churches are not in use. We're able to have some type of tutor there, whether it be an instructor who's able to help, engage and facilitate the learning process. If a student were to get stuck, with a particular assignment for that day, that they will have on-site instruction right then and there. And really, we understand that the parents have to go to work, and it's very hard for parents to stay home and put food on the table. So we wanted to offer this service just to say, like, what, these are our kids, because we stand to lose a whole generation of kids if we don't get this right at this particular moment in time. So that was the concept, to really bring them in our churches for the school day, whether it be 9 to 3 or even 7:30 for before care up until 5:30, to at least begin to develop a concept of what that would look like. Just for further information, the JCC just rolled out their plan today that's called the All Day at the J, where they're going to go from 8:30 to 4 Monday through Friday, but they already started putting out the price list of what it's going to cost if you want to send your kids at the JCC, where right now you're looking at close to $900 for the month for one child to actually be part of that program. And knowing that our kids can't afford that, we're creating more of an inequity system where you're forcing parents to actually hire tutors or to pay people or to do their own thing.
We just don't have the money to that. Listen, we've not asked the Board of Education for one dime. People are saying, well, churches want to get paid. Let me tell you something. COVID-19, everybody needs to get paid. Everybody is suffering, but we've not asked for anything. What has happened is that Yale University has sponsored and given monies to the Greater New Haven Clergy Association to put Wi-Fi in their churches and for those who don't have it. And also, we can use it to heighten the Wi-Fi in our community. I was talking to Kim Harris this morning, and there are about 25, maybe 25 homes, 2,500 or somewhere that she said that did not have Wi-Fi in Newhallville. And so what we're going to do is do hotspots all over Newhallville for our kids to get on their computer. Listen, here's what they said with the Board of Education. We're going to put antennas and whatever in the Hill and Fairhaven first. That's where we're going. I like to see the data, the statistics of why you had to go to Fairhaven and you had to go to the Hill first and not splitting it up with Dixwell, Newhallville. I need for the board members to tell me that. And the other piece that Reverend Cousin is talking about, we're getting ready to do a survey. You will be able to log in on our computer, on our website, to say, I want to send my kid over to Bethel. I want to send my kid over to First Cavalry. I want to send my kid to Christ Chapel. I want to send my kid to Agape. All of these places we will have where schools are, and it's a great opportunity. Parents, we ain't charging nothing. These are our kids. We got to help our kids. We got to help our families, because if you stay home, then we know we're going to need more. And so what I want to ask Dr. Jackson and Darnell Goldson, how do you leave an entire community out? 2 communities, Dixwell, Newhallville. That's where everybody comes to get their votes, but you leave them out. I want to hear from you.
So we did ask about this as far as access, because you're asking about access, correct? What's going on with the access? Because I did have some questions about, they were just doing the access, I think, in the Hill and Fairhaven, and we were asking about Westville, Brookside,
and Brookside is a whole nother city.
In the Ville, right? And because what they're doing on Lincoln Bassett is only going to access for like 3 blocks. It's only for 3 blocks. So I don't know if Darnell can remember, but what did the mayor say? Didn't he respond to that, Darnell?
In terms of how they chose what neighborhoods they were going to do?
How they were going to help access the rest of the community, I really don't remember, so I don't know if it was that significant.
It was a lot of gibberish. They said a lot of things, but didn't really say anything. He talked a lot, but didn't say anything. It's frustrating for me because, I live in West Hills. I represented West Hills, West Rock, and the Board of Alders. We have the highest concentration of housing authority residents in our district, which means that we have the poorest people in the city, concentration of poor people in the city, and those people don't have access to Wi-Fi. We have 2 or 3 kids. We have, I think, 3 or 4 elementary schools in this neighborhood, and it would have been easy to work with the housing authority to provide access to their tenants through some towers, and they didn't even think about having that conversation, apparently, when we asked them about it. So,
who didn't think about that, Mr. Pinto?
Well, again,
Mr. Penn.
Again, it starts at the top. Mayor Elliker represents the entire city. He should know where the coverage is light. They claimed that they were doing the Hill and Fairhaven because that's where the highest concentration of students were.
Yeah, I didn't understand
like that. I didn't understand that either. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
So the mayor,
the mayor
who represents So the mayor who represent Donald Trump in his absence in New Haven, that's what he said.
We know that there's inequities in this system. And we know the inequities grow with poor people, right? And with people in housing authority. Elliker during his campaign went to those communities and said, I'm going to represent you because you're not being fairly represented. Now, we know that he was lying. We know that that wasn't true. They weren't being represented by a great mayor at the time. But, you know, he painted this this picture where they weren't being represented. Some people believed it, and he got elected. Now he's not representing those communities. I mean, they didn't mention West Rock, West Hills at all. You
No.
know, I don't
And
understand.
Pastor Cousins, he was on that call today, like I was, and they said that every kid is going to have a device. And I was confused because that's not what they said last night. But on the call this evening, they said every child is going to have a device. But Pastor Cousins, did they tell us when?
No, they said that it's going to be at least a 3-week rollout
Okay.
before they get the system up and running. So they're going to have something, but I believe at the last Board of Ed meeting for the special meeting was that the computers are on back order until October.
So this is unacceptable.
That's why we can't. That's one of the list grows and grows and grows and grows. We knew that we needed these things. Darnell and myself actually have advocated for devices, over and over again. So much so that you get accused for badgering. But this is serious. If you don't have the devices, you know it's not safe enough to go back into the building, and we know we have to do remote.
Here's what we
Where's the
have.
devices?
Here's what we have. Someone sent me a question, said, ask if schools don't do hybrid or full reopening, will the state give the city the same financial support or will it be cut?
Well, let me answer that for a second, okay? First of all, they don't give us enough financial support. That we are underfunded. We've been underfunded historically. The fact is, the money that they do give us is our money, and they should be giving us more of our money, and they don't. So if they attempt to threaten to withhold our money, then quite honestly, they will have a fight on their hands. Because we are going to fight for the residents of the city of New Haven to get the little bit of money. It's not even enough to be able to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, we continually run deficits every year because why? We're underfunded. They manage to find money for anything else. They manage to find funding for $200,000 administrators all the time, but they can't seem to manage to find money for 50-cent raises for paraprofessionals. So I am not going to sit up here and allow this underhanded threat that somehow we're not going to get our funding if we don't do the right thing for our teachers and our students and the families of the New Haven public school systems. So the short answer to the question is we're not going to allow that to happen.
All right. I just saw a message from President of the Board of Alder, Taisha Walker Myers. And I agree with you, Taisha, that every neighborhood is important and that every neighborhood should have Wi-Fi in it for our kids. And I support that 100%. Just ought not be for one or two communities. Wi-Fi should be for the entire city where schools are. And there are at least 2 schools in every neighborhood, sometimes 3 schools. And so, yes, we'll agree with that. So let me recap right quick. The Greater New Haven Clergy Association have stated that we will open our churches for students. That's what we've said. We will have Wi-Fi in the churches that we will list. We will list those churches this week. And Reverend Cousin has to talk about the curriculum. I don't know whether the school board is prepared to talk to clergy that are preparing to open their churches up in reference to curriculum, but they do know that they have it is their rightful place to educate our kids. We've dealt with the insurance piece of it. We're checking with our insurance companies to make sure that we have the right rider on our insurance, that these kids can come in. So it gives me a great opportunity to have all boys at our church, all boys. That's what we want to do. You know, third grade, fourth grade boys. That's what we want to do at our church in New Hallville, and we look forward to working with y'all. Final words. Dr. Jackson, your final words this evening.
My final words. I want to echo the words of one of our alders and our president of our alder. Fight for all of the communities. We're not going to have Wi-Fi access just for 2 communities and leave the rest of the communities out. I think that needs to be universal. If you're going to provide Wi-Fi for Fairhaven and the Hill, you need to provide it for the Ville. They need to provide it for West Hills. They need to provide it for Westville, and also out and Level Street out there at the Manor, Brookside, and all that. All that needs to be provided, and in West River. I don't know if they consider that the Hill, but that's where Taisha is, and rest where we need to have it all. And also the devices. I mean, I'm really a little upset that the devices are not available. We cannot open because we're not ready. So a lot of that is the reason why myself and the majority of my colleagues on the board voted to go virtual, because we're not ready to go into the buildings, and we're kind of struggling to open with the virtual. So I'm really rooting for the district, because we do, I know that we can do it, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Mr. Goldson.
I have 2 mantras that I'm following with this process. The first is safety first. Make sure that our teachers feel that it's safe for them to return to, that it's safe enough for them to return to the schools, that our families think it's safe enough to send their kids back to the schools. And my second mantra is equity. We have to make sure during this remote phase that the kids who are always left behind are brought into the fold and given the resources that they need to be able to equally access quality education.
Reverend Cousin Stephen.
Just the last thing, that we have to be creative during this time. We just can't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. I really believe that's going to take every community, every resident, to really put our resources together to make sure our kids receive a quality education. We're able to do it, but we all have to be able to come together, be at the same table to make it happen. And I pray that that will happen in the days and the weeks to come.
Hey, thank you all so very much for joining me tonight as we try to weave through what is happening in our city. President Walker Myers said people on exit 8 also. We want it everywhere. And thank you for bringing those things to our attention. Listen, we're in trouble, and when trouble arises, we who know God have always exercised ourselves. And this city needs prayer, and it needs prayer more than just the shootings in the city. We need prayer in our homes, on these streets, and with our families. And so we got a tough road to go, but we're going to get there. We're going to do whatever we can to educate our kids. We cannot lose another generation of kids and who cannot find a job when they graduate, or if they graduate, and who will not be the kind of citizens and educated citizens and trying to get a decent job, not just jobs being a CNA, not just jobs mopping floors and emptying bedpans and making beds or cleaning buildings and stuff. We want our kids to do more than that. We want them to have pride in what they do, and it's going to take this system to help give our kids this kind of determination and pride. So we're going to keep this this community informed. Thank you all tonight for being live on Dr. Boise Kimber's show. God bless each one of you. Let us continue to pray for each other. Have a good evening. Bye.
Night.